Across South Asia, standard biryani holds absolute culinary supremacy. It is the ultimate celebratory dish, expected at every major gathering and widely revered as a masterpiece of flavor and technique. But if you travel to the historic city of Rampur in northern India and ask for a biryani, you will be met with blank stares. The locals simply do not acknowledge it. Instead, you will be served the yakni pulao. From lavish Eid feasts to solemn funerals, this single dish holds a monopoly over the region's culture. To completely displace a cultural titan like biryani requires distinct structural advantages and a very particular historical alignment. The yakni pulao acts as an edible piece of architecture. Baked into its layers is the survival story of a fallen empire. Deconstructing this dish starts with its foundation, creating the yakni, which translates simply to meat broth. To build it, chefs boil raw mutton and water, dropping in a pautli, a tight pouch of whole spices like coriander, fennel, and garlic. A 1704 migration vector tracks how this meat-centric Shinwari cuisine arrived from Afghan frontier regions into Mughal India. Unlike traditional dense Indian curries, this Afghan technique stripped away thick gravies, leaving only a translucent, potent liquid stock. The very base of Rampur's signature dish is an imported Afghan survival technique, embedded deep within Indian royalty. Once the broth is established, the dish grounds itself geographically with the addition of the yellow chili, a spice completely indigenous to Rampur. Then comes a layer of high refinement. Instead of using standard saffron to dye the rice, cook steep harshringar, the night-flowering jasmine, into the water to give the dish its distinctive color. This specific, poetic ingredient choice stems from the Mutiny of 1857, an event that resulted in the violent destruction of the neighboring Awadh Empire. The collapse of Awadh triggered a mass exodus. Calligraphers, poets, and highly skilled royal cooks, known as khansamahs, fled their ruined cities, seeking safety in Rampur. They found sanctuary and heavy financial backing under the Nawab of Rampur, who eagerly absorbed Awadh's fleeing intellectual and culinary elite. The unique flavor profile of the yakni pulao was born from this exact collision. Highly refined Awadhi artistry mixed with robust Afghan meat cooking traditions, all operating inside a refugee kitchen. Standard biryani features stratified layers of pre-cooked rice and meat. Conversely, yakni pulao submerges raw rice inside a unified pool of boiling meat stock. The grains absorb all fats and flavors, creating a complete dish requiring no side curry. Inventing a standalone dish of this caliber was highly lucrative. The Rampur courts operated almost like a modern venture capitalist environment, where Nawabs heavily financially rewarded any khansamah who could create an unconventional, perfected recipe. These chefs traveled to rival courts as culinary spies, bringing foreign techniques back to these massive dining halls in Rampur to test against their peers. The yakni pulao is the ultimate prototype to ever emerge from history's most fiercely competitive culinary incubator. The evidence of this intense experimentation is physically preserved in Rampur's Raza library, written across the faded ink of ancient cookbook manuscripts. The yakni pulao we see today was originally just one of a grand repertoire of over 50 experimental royal pulaos, a list that included bizarre variations like pineapple pulao and sweetmeat pulao. The Awadh Empire fell, and the era of the Nawabs eventually came to an end. But this specific culinary blueprint survived because the common people of Rampur adopted it as their own, cooking it in their homes for over a century. Rampur's yakni pulao acts as a living historical document. When borders are erased and empires collapse, a culture's legacy adapts, evolves, and survives on the plate.